Fantastic programs, politics, religion, culture, and lots more. Keep listening to Carnival Radio. Carnival Radio. Enjoyment unlimited.
Good evening and welcome to news around the world from Carnival Radio. I am Joseph Oyukola. Starting the news this evening from Africa. Egypt President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has pardoned the prominent British Egyptian activist Alaa Abdel Fattah, who has been imprisoned for 6 years. Abdel Fattah was one of the 6 people whose sentences were commuted following a request from the National Council for Human Rights, according to Al-Qara. His sister Munasef wrote on X, "My heart was blood." The 23-year-old blogger and pro-democracy activist is one of the Egypt's best-known political prisoners. He was arrested in 2019 during a crackdown on dissent and sentenced to 5 years in prison in 2021 after being convicted of spreading false news for sharing a post about a prisoner dying after torture. Moving to Asia, a super typhoon that caused thousands to be evacuated in the Philippines has slightly weakened, according to country's Weather Bureau. Super Typhoon Ragasa made landfall over Pulutan Island, one of the Babuya Islands in the Philippines, northern Cagayan, at local time. Despite its small change in intensity, it still brings a high risk of life-threatening storm surge with peak height exceeding 3 meters, the Philippine Weather Bureau said. Authorities have warned of widespread flooding and landslides and damage to homes and infrastructure. In Australia, Australian officials have promised telecommunications giant Optus will face significant consequences via a system outage linked to multiple deaths. The incident last week left hundreds of people across more than half of the country unable to call emergency services for 13 hours. Optus, one of the country's 2 major providers, says at least 3 people died as a result, and its chief executive has apologized to their families and the public for the completely unacceptable failure. The company is under fire for its delayed handling of the incident, the second such outage for the firm in 2 years. Moving to South America, police say 13 inmates and 1 prison guard have been killed and another 14 people injured in clashes between rival gangs in a jail in Ecuador. People living near the prison in the southwestern city of Machala reported hearing explosions and shots in the early hours of Monday local time. Police Chief William Kali said an unknown number of prisoners had escaped during the incident, but 13 have so far been recaptured. Deadly prison clashes and riots are not uncommon in Ecuador, with gangs after targeting members of rival groups. Moving to Europe, President Emmanuel Macron will formally recognize a Palestinian state in New York on Monday today, backed by several other European countries, describing France's move as necessary. Coming hard on the heels of a decision by the UK, Canada, and Australia, Macron said his move would be the beginning of a political process and a peace and security plan for everybody. France, like the UK, carries considerable diplomatic weight as both a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council and the G7, and is also coordinating the push with Saudi Arabia on the sidelines of this week's United Nations General Assembly. Paris will not be joined by two of the other big European states in the G7, Germany and Italy, and not by the US either. On to the last news in North America. Trump officials are expected to make a disputed link between autism and the use of pain reliever in pregnant women, according to US media. At an Oval Office event on Monday, the US president will reportedly advise pregnant women in the US to only take Tylenol, known as paracetamol elsewhere, to relieve high fevers. On Sunday, Trump said he had an amazing announcement coming on autism, saying it was out of control, but they might now have a reason why. And that ends Carnival Radio News Around the World. This news was brought to you by Carnival Radio News and Current Affairs Department, compiled by Elizabeth Tercio Kemikoko. I am Joseph Oyokola. Good evening, and please do well to enjoy the rest of your day.